Right, Shalom Israel. Quick video giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Kadash. Barak Yahweh, Barak Shai, double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders, great millstone. My salutation to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect, most high will. Said he shortened the time for the elect's sake, to the hopeful, extended elect, Shalom, blessings, the multitude. And we continue to exalt those names, Yahweh, or Yahweh Shai. Yahweh, he is to be. He exists. His son, Yahweh Shai, he did delivers. And we always say in the name of the Holy Spirit. If Esau is the chosen, or the so-called white man, they call themselves white, but they're really red. And, we have 18 nations in all, including Israel. And really, any of these nations know how to do a dance, or, on the level of Jake, music, talent, education, they'll promote themselves to have, but not. Now, I'm not going to play it, actually, because they're going to, they're going to give me for copyright, whatever, but I'm just show you the scenery while this dude is playing the guitar. People are dancing, and it's going to be Edomites dancing until Jake steps in. But they're going to give Jake the floor, watch, and everybody's, we got prominent dancers in the music industry, Chris Brown, Bobby Brown back then, Michael Jackson, Now, I think they're going, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to stop and look at Jake like they're learning. Because they can't catch a beat for shit. I don't get it. Even if Jake don't know how to dance, see, they all gathered around Jake. Even if Jake don't know how to dance, he still know how to catch a rhythm, man. Because dancing is a skill. It's a technique to dancing. You got all kind of thousands of dances, styles. But to catch a beat, see, they looking at Jake to see how to do it. Now, it don't really take nothing to do that. A two-step dance or whatever, it really takes nothing. Just get on beat, Now, dancing is a very important fabric of our culture. Is, you dance when you celebrate, you dance when you feel good, you dance, with joy in your hearts. Now, I looked in the scriptures, I looked up the word dance. Now I can turn it up, man.
Strong's H2342. Chul. And the form just below that, Chil.
Kahal. No, it's a lot. That's Kawal. Kawal. Which is to twist, whirl, dance, rhythm. Chevelle be paying to dance, to twist, to whirl about. Even in fighting, like Apostle Rakai. So you want to dance, that means you want to fight. So dancing is also a term for fighting too. Cherith and travail was bear, bring forth. To bring forth, to bear. To be made with rhythm, made to bear. out forth, to wait longingly, to be distressed, suffering, torture. So some of those basic things, but another key word is harmony. Now I looked up the blue letter, music in blue letter, and it says a pleasing succession of sounds or combination of sounds. Um, you get that word muse in there. And I keep forgetting that word muse means to soothe, or let me look it up right quick. Come on, don't do this. Don't do it, man. To reflect, or to think. No, let me go up. One of the 9 muses of classical. I'm not looking for that, man. To divert the attention, beguile, well, muse. Full hold literally calls to muse as a distraction. So a certain attraction to appease somebody, amuse them. And deceit or attraction or to is not always evil. It's not well. It's not always wicked. Paul would amuse. It's kind of a luring in to, any way they can. If you like say you play a guitar, you play the piano, you play an instrument, whatever, and you play a chord. You might ask somebody, well, what do you like to hear? What is your kind of music? And then you amuse them, you appease them with the kind of music they like. But even if you don't like the song, you know what I'm saying? So you might play something, you know it. You don't. You just know songs, but you might, not like that one in particular, like that person like, but you'll still play it for them. You wouldn't dance to it, but you amuse them, and they'll dance to it. So, by first occupying their attention, cheat, deceive. So it could be like a deception. Deception means pretty much taken away, because D means to pretty much digress, take away, and exception come from the mind, take away somebody's mind from. It's not necessarily being what you call it, wicked, but it's just if you let's say you like the competitive stores, like they compete with each other, and they say, well, and then people say, well, which you in between 2 restaurants, which restaurant would I go to? And the other, one restaurant is going to say, well, we have the this and that. We make our stuff from scratch. We get it fresh. They're gonna, and some of that might not be true, or they might not live up to that what they say, but they're doing it to, coming, get you, to get you to go there. So it's kind of like they're luring you in, but you might go there and it'd be the best food place you ever tasted. Ever gone to, and they and you got restaurants that'll say, well, we got the best service, and then your first waiter, waitress acts crappy, you be like, they lied to me, but they amuse you, with, so to speak, playing with kind of music or what you wanted to hear in your ears at that time to lure you into go. So it's not nothing wicked about it, in that matter. But you can deceive somebody to actually get murdered, or lure somebody to actually get murdered or killed. That's different. So, fool, tease, hoax, make fun of. you know. So they could be, it could be, beguile, you know. Even Eve was beguiled by the serpent, but he was playing. I mean, he was telling her what she wanted to hear, even though she said, "Well, we shall not eat of that lest we die." But when she heard, when you hear the words of, our people say, "Well, talk smooth things to us, talk, deceit, talk things basically what we want to hear to get our mind off of reality, get our mind off of what's really going on, you know." Um, so that's what music is. But going back to how they gonna be the chosen, and they're not able to dance, man, to catch a rhythm. This is when they dance is you know the guitar person, you know, he's playing the guitar and they're amused because their mind is taken away from, their mind is taken into the music. So you're very involved in what you're doing when you're amused by the music, but at the same time, you know, you're supposed to be able to catch the groove. You're supposed to be able to dance. Because why would you dance or attempt to dance when you do something and you're not good at it? You leave it alone. Some people be like, well, you see a tall person, he say, well, why didn't you play basketball? Somebody asked him, well, you could have played basketball. You taller, and he said, well, I'm not a good shooter. It's just not for me. You know, and he left it alone. He went to something else. But these people, it's like almost like a mockery to the real chosen people, which is us. I hate to see them dance because you mocking music pretty much. In a sense of you're supposed to be rhythmic and know how to catch a beat and not look so awkward. You can get away with doing two step without looking awkward if you don't know how to dance. You know, but I won't use it in the sense of you're amused because they are amused. They're taken by the music. They're taken by the instrument playing. But if see, they gave Jake the floor again. Like y'all got this, man. Like we ain't. But it's dancing all through the scriptures, man. From you know Judges 21:21, and see, behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance and dances, then come ye out of the vineyards and catch you every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh and go to the land of Benjamin. They send forth their little ones like a flock and their children dance. Job 21:11. Psalms 149:3. Let them praise him in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and the harp. And harp is a very soothing. If you hear the harp, it's a very soothing instrument. Look, Ecclesiastes 3:4. A time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. That's why I said dance is equivalent with celebrating or having joy. So the opposite of that is mourn. You know, see, there's a Lamentation 5:15. The joy of our heart is ceased; our dance is turned into mourning. You know, so dancing is an act of joy. But if you don't know how to dance and you're trying to dance, and like it ain't no way you're gonna go to a Jake club and every but Jake don't know how to dance. You know, Yeah, they just gave Jake the floor all the way, man. So how you gonna be the chosen people when that's a very like a very important thread of our the fabric of our culture all through the scriptures. You know, music too. Let me put in music. I just got in the etymology, but let me. No, it's spelled different though. You know, 1 Samuel 18:6, and it came to pass as they came when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And all through the scriptures, this truth is a song itself. You know, I think another term that could be used, for music is entertainment. You know, it says Lamentation 3 and 63. Behold, they're sitting down and they're rising up. I am their music. They're amused by Jake. They entertained by Jake. You know, and they say, dance, do that moonwalk, boy, do that dance you did earlier. You know, and they'll probably laugh but it amuses them. They you know, fills with them with joy just to see Jake be able to do the things that he could do with dancing and even playing the instruments. I mean, man, Stevie Wonder and people like that, Prince, Michael Jackson, Chuck Berry, what they call, I'm trying to think of this, B.B. King, you know, all our people pretty much, man. Just thinking of some of the old ones, old schools. Daniel 3 and 4, that all what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, if I'm pronouncing them right, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image of Nebuchadnezzar king. So, you know, even with even in history with these other nations too, music is popular. But like I said, I've heard East Indian music, I heard Chinese music, I've heard, some of them Chinese people I know that are jakes. They know how to break dance, catch a groove. You know, but mostly, I mean, all these nations they don't have the salt. They don't have the flavor. Jake is just real seasoned with these type of skills and talents. Amos 6 and 5, to chant to the sound of the vow and invent to themselves instruments of music like David. So why are you going to invent music and you don't know how to dance? Why are you going to sing upbeat song or whatever and you don't know how to dance? Why even dance if you don't know how? Like I said, why play basketball, football, or write a song you don't know how to, do either of those, man. So, it it kind of puts me in a state of mind like, damn, it's kind of crazy that these people are still, they don't give a damn. They'll still believe they God's people, like, still believe that I don't know what they call it, but it's not dancing. Let me see. And they probably got a term for it, to where it's, or a phrase, whatever. And then they say even with that little terms like uh, white white man can't jump. Those things are said because it's explaining the mannerisms between Esau and Jacob. Esau, if you go to that story, Esau, which is the red man, Edom, they mention mannerisms. So this is a mannerism. And, it goes along with the mannerisms also what Esau was had grown up and known to, be even today. And it looked like mockery to real dancing, mockery to the Most High, mockery to the chosen people, the Israelites. I remember it said, "I become their song, their entertainment." So the when we really do it and really know how to do it, they still laugh at us because they don't know how to do it, and a lot of that comes with jealousy. And if they're jealous, they'll just make a mockery of us instead of really saying, "Nah, we can't dance." You know, you're right. We don't have the salt. We really can't sing. And all those people like Elton John and you know Christine Aguilera, that some of those ones they point out, Adele, most likely they're Israelites, man. The ones that could hoop real well. Larry Bird could have easily been an Israelite playing for the Celtics. The Celtics was us. And Celtic comes from that word Celsius, or high, above. Pretty much. You know, great people. But anyway, and if they love to dance, you'll have an Edomite that go to these parties every week. You know, a club every week, and they won't learn to dance. Jake will learn to dance. He'll learn to dance. You have the Dougie. Back then, you had some of the old ones, the Cabbage Patch. You had the Running Man. Some of them, the new ones. You know, um, even the even the crip walk, or the the gang walk, banging walks. Jake will learn to do it. You know, so it's almost like, damn, you know, and that's with anything else, that they amused by Jake with. Seem like if they try to do it, continue to do it, seem like they would actually learn it. But maybe they are, and they just can't get it. You know. So when you constantly try something and you can't get it, you leave it alone, and then you might come back around to it. But then, and you say, well, and then it still fails. You're like, well, shit, it's not my thing. Let me move on to something else. But not them. They'll just continue to do it and don't give a damn. So, you know, anyway, I think that was it, man. And then you got a second part that they showed Edom dancing and basically doing the same thing, you know. And it's just, you know. And it's almost like the Africans. I didn't see the Africans dance. They can't dance. All they do is jump up and down. Who invented breakdancing? Were you doing windmills and, pop locking, and it's all kind of different type of dances within one dance, or you know, ongoing dances from that one dance that Jake made. He can easily, be instrumental with it and just do a little twist to it, and it's a whole nother dance, you know. So, and this is, this is what I would call a part of being uneducated and stupidity. And you could clearly, I mean, if you're the top people of the world and the chosen, you're going to do everything better. You're going to fight better. You're going to dance better. You're going to sing better. You're going to look better. You're going to walk better. You're going to talk better. And they're just the opposite, man. So do your own research. Anyway, hopefully it was edifying. To the next video. Shalom.